Hello Canada, you're watching Canadian Citizen Journal. I'm your host, alias Guy. Well, today we're going to talk about these trade wars that are going on and all the gaslighting that's coming from our side of the border. While our government is seized and our narcissist prorogued government in order to save his party and try and keep as much power as he can. And by the way, the prorogation ended today. There isn't really a lot of I haven't really gotten a solid data. I didn't actually watch the Zoom. I was too busy trying to get caught up in a whole bunch of these other projects that I've been working on. It takes hours and hours and hours and hours of research in order to put these clips together to make sure that it's a lot of verification. There's a lot of steps that need to be taken in order to make sure that I'm giving you the truth. So with the prorogation, from what I can tell, the argument from the government, pretty much the only thing they had to stand on was that there was no precedent. And for us, I guess we did very well. The lawyers were quite impressive. The judge seemed to like them. They were saying, well, that's the whole point. That's why we're here, is to set precedent. And there kind of is precedent. What happened in the UK sets precedent. And there's even a case that happened within a province that is kind of precedent setting that can be followed and used. So from the people that were there and from what I had heard from different video clips, it sounds promising, but I could see by the way they were saying it that they feel just like I do. I just don't think they said it. We don't have faith in the Supreme Court. You know, for some reason, it seems like when conservatives are in power, everything they do can be wrong because there's very few of them that are appointed. The Liberals have been in power more than any other in our nation. They're constantly appointing them. But it's because we're ruled by everybody south of this little wee line, the mass part of population. The rest, like Western Canada, doesn't make a difference. To be honest, Eastern Canada doesn't even really make a difference. All the power's right there at the bottom, the whole, Toronto, Montreal, Quebec kind of thing. It's all tied in. Anyways, Parliament seized. Nothing's getting done. Trump's got specific demands. He wants done. Of course, the border is huge. The fentanyl crisis is huge. And how deeply in bed with the dealing of fentanyl on a global basis is a major priority. Trump wants that dealt with. A little hard to do when the government that's in power are the ones who are involved with the drug dealers. And the WF Davos, which is the other thing that every single appointee that Trump has put in despises Davos, WEF, that whole, they hate it. And Trudeau's a puppet for it, and so is Carney. So where am I going with this? Well, while we're literally got our feet cemented and can't do anything, and our media is gaslighting all of you about what's going on, well, all of Canada, not you, because obviously you're watching, but most of Canada that's got their brainwash leash on. Trump is preparing, and he's doing it at a record pace. And if you look carefully, and it's in the open, it's not hard to actually find what I shouldn't say it is hard, but you can find key issues of, whoa, what, that happened. So I'm just going to show you how he's putting a backstop up against us. He is preparing for the worst case scenario with Canada if we don't get our crap straight. And now I'm just going to start off with showing you a small clip because here's how the media does things. Most people would know that Colombia had a big argument with Trump about these flying the illegal immigrants back to Colombia. Our media gaslit us for a day and a half about how Trump was wrong and they're fighting back and it's not going to work and he's creating a war And all of a sudden it just disappeared. And they moved on to the next anti-Trump, anti-whatever establishment kind of. Well, here's what happened with Colombia. My mouse just quit. Interesting. Here's what happened with Colombia.
The president of Colombia quickly caving to Trump's demands to accept deportation flights of illegal Colombian nationals after refusing 2 flights on Sunday. First, the president of Colombia refuses the flight. Then Trump announces that if Colombia does not accept the flights, a 25% tariff on all goods is coming into the United States will be placed on Colombia. And that tariff will increase to 50% after 1 week's time. Trump also proposed a travel ban and an immediate visa revocation on Colombian government officials, allies, and all supporters. Colombia now has agreed to all of Trump's terms, including taking back all illegal migrants deported out of the United States. The country's foreign minister and ambassador are expected to be in Washington today for high-level meetings.
Did you know that started and ended? I believe it was 47 minutes, and it was done. How long did the media bash Trump about that for? It was already done. It was done. This happened on social media, and in 47 minutes, and I believe it was 7 posts, it was over. Done. Trump don't mess around. The media would like you to think that he failed. He was 100% successful, and he did it in record time. And then there's our government. The whole Modi India interference, involved in the murder of Nishtar. That was all done because Trudeau was polling so bad. He was plummeting. And he was trying to save his skin. This is what a narcissist does. They'll burn they'll burn the country to rule over the ashes. And that's what he was doing. And again, our media did no justice. They kept defending him when there was never any evidence. You don't accuse a country, especially a country with the population and economic power of India, without evidence. That's not only is it not politically correct, it's suicide. And that's what happened to us. On a global scale, mass amounts of countries took their 10th step back, because by then they had already seen what our government was doing. But that was kind of like the final blow. How do you even trade with the country when they'll throw you under the bus with lies in order to save themselves? They'll destroy economies in order to save themselves. Well, the media doesn't like talking about it, but the inquiry came out. They spent more time lying and just gaslighting everybody, and it came right out. The Canadian inquiry finds no evidence of India's role in Nijjar killing, contradicting Trudeau's allegations. Trudeau even said, right at the inquiry, that he told Modi he had intelligence. No proof. They gaslit the intelligence. Well, we can't give it to you. We can't. If he would have had intelligence and actually told Modi, here's the proof, here's the intelligence, and here's the proof that got me it, they could have diplomatically figured something out. But there was no proof, and Modi knew it. So what does Trudeau do? Divide and conquer. Create hate, create division. He thought it was going to help him. He really did, because of the amount of Indians and Pakistanis that had come into our country. He was really thinking that this was going to do good. And again, it strikes that the regular Canadian emotion. These guys were doing what to Canada? Well, we're going to have to not like them anymore. When it was all a lie. It was all a lie. No, not to say that they weren't interfering in an election. They kind of were. And guess what that was? The only evidence that came out was Patrick Brown. He was running for a leadership race. And Patrick Brown went in front of a committee, which the media didn't talk about, and completely debunked the whole thing, saying it wouldn't have mattered. I was getting my butt kicked. And we were kind of aware of it. So it wasn't a big deal because he was caught. He was trying to get elected. So he was like going out to constituents and, these ones here, this is the Indian, right? And this is the Punjabi and right. This is the Sikh. And he had peed off a few of them. So they were like, hey man, if you're not on our side and you're on their side, well, then we're going to try and make sure you don't get elected. It was on a small scale. It never affected anything because he was never going to get voted in. And Patrick Brown himself even said it. I think he was chuckling at the fact that it made all this attention for the fact that there was nothing there. How did they say it? A nothing burger. So in the meantime, that relationship's destroyed. What is Trump doing?
We have also set ourselves the target of more than doubling our bilateral trade to attain $500 billion by 2030. Our teams will work on concluding very soon a mutually beneficial trade agreement in order to ensure India's energy security. We will focus on trade in oil and gas.
Today, the Prime Minister and I are announcing a framework to strengthen those ties even further economically, and the U.S.-India Compact for the 21st century is a historic initiative that will deepen every aspect of our partnership and our friendship. Starting this year, we'll be increasing military sales to India by many billions of dollars. We're also paving the way to ultimately provide India with the F-35 stealth fighters. Prime Minister Modi and I have agreed that we'll begin negotiations to address the long-running disparities that should have been taken care of over the last 4 years, but they didn't do that in the U.S.-India trading relationship with the goal of signing an agreement, and we want we want a certain level playing field.
This trade deal is huge, and it's not short term; it's long term. It's huge. He is cutting Canada's he's taken the ankles, he's taken the knees. He's at our waist right now. He's going for the heart and the head. He's going in for the kill. What he's doing is he's making sure that if Canada doesn't get its crap together, he can do whatever he wants, and within a matter of 2 years, they will be soaring, we will be crying, or bankrupt. Now, I know he's a businessman. I'm not going to say that the 51st state is a joke. He's a businessman. It would be in their interest to control the entire continent. You'd be a fool not to think that. Now, as a friend, obviously you don't want to do that. But if we keep doing what we're doing and becoming more of a threat to their nation, we're forcing their hand. It's not what you want to do, and that's not what you do to friends. We've been abusing them way too long. We've been abusing ourselves like way too long. So, what about all the rare earth minerals? Especially the central provinces. We're gonna shut them, Elon, down. We can cut them off and bring them to their knees. Just like that. They got nothing. Well, if that's so, then explain
Ukraine has offered to strike a deal with U.S. President Donald Trump for continued American military support in exchange for developing its minerals industry, which could provide a valuable source of critical raw materials essential for many kinds of technology. Trump said he's interested in such a deal earlier this month. It was initially proposed by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky as part of his plan to strengthen Ukraine's hand in any future negotiations with Russia. The bulk of Ukraine's critical raw materials, such as lithium, uranium,
and he's trying to get this deal signed now. I think he wants to sign before he even comes to any type of a peace deal, because he needs the deal to include the military. But he has an ace up his sleeve. Actually, he's got an ace up both sleeves. Ukraine is missing billions of dollars. Gone, unaccounted for. They're finding military arms from United States, France, whoever else, down in Mexican cartel hands. How'd they get there? You got to remember, Ukraine is noted for almost 20 to 25 years as being one of the most corrupt countries on the planet. Trump ain't messing around. So, goodbye Canada's torso. Now he's right at the chest cavity, going for the heart. That doesn't leave us a lot left, does it? Oh, it does though, because there's more.
It's a big asset for the United States, but we haven't used it. We go to Venezuela, we go to other places to take oil and gas, and we have more than anybody. It's an amazing phenomenon that took place over the last 4 years. Nobody understands it, including the people that were in charge of it. They had no clue what they were doing. So it was a big problem. They were surprised actually too. They were saying why didn't they wouldn't sell them LNG.
Who else wouldn't sell Japan LNG? There was no what? They just wanted to make sure that they handicapped Canada? How could you say there was no business interest? How there was no like they were looking, they were begging. They're in an energy crisis of their own. Expensive energy causes poverty. It causes economic demise. Japan is a technological nation. They use piles of energy. They were willing to pay anything. Now imagine if you were to take the whole country of Japan off of coal. How much you could change the emissions. Drastically. All of a sudden, Canada's actually making a difference on the globe, cutting emissions. That math has always been there. But the media has always made it sound like it's something stupid. It's not stupid. And we've got the cleanest energy on the planet. We should have had pipelines built off every coast all the way around, putting it on tankers, putting it whatever, and getting it out there. Every heap of coal we replace with LNG is a huge GHG emission. Canada has the capacity to not only, for the greeners out there, cut the carbon footprint of countries, but it also by exporting it, you stop war. This is something the West has known for decades. You want to stop Russia's power? Supply all the countries with energy. Cut off the money. You cut off the money. No money, no war. They can't afford missiles. They can't afford the technology. Our media keeps trying to convince the masses that this is a bad thing, that the only thing that we can do is we can freeze to death, work 16 hours a day, own nothing and be happy and go to bed cold because you don't want to turn the furnace up. You're burning the world. Canada is a positive. I showed the map before. We're the greenest out of every nation I could see on the chart. I couldn't find anybody who absorbs more CO2 than we do. We absorb more than we put out. We are a negative. We're actually cleaning other countries' dirty air right now as we speak. There's Japan. Another deal. Gone. So all of a sudden, the viability of pipelines is disappearing. He's taking our target time away. Even if we raced, and I mean raced to get a pipeline, 3 years, 4 years, by the time we get there, he's going to secure every market. There'll be nothing to sell to. Do you see the brilliance in this? Trudeau can't even play checkers, and this man is a master chess player.
They wouldn't sell it. Japan wanted to buy LNG, and Biden wouldn't sell it. And I'm trying to figure that one out. Maybe it was the environment. You might answer that question. He's curious about that himself, I think. Thank you very much. If you want to answer that, you may, about LNG, that the United States wouldn't sell you LNG.
That was a really unfortunate thing, but the current administration, the previous administration was not allowing the LNG to be exported to us. I believe that President Trump, on the day of his inauguration, allowed us to resume this importing. I think this is something that is really wonderful for us.
The day of the inauguration. Trump he's had 4 years to think about what went wrong the first term, and he fixed that, and how to speed up the process to get to the end goal. He compares himself to Abraham Lincoln for a reason. You have to have the time and the tenacity in order to implement things in a concrete manner. If you don't, the next administration comes in, wipes it all away. Trump is moving at lightning speed. Lightning speed. Now, the steel tariffs. That's pretty easy. So now you've got Donald getting investors to invest in the steel plant. They're going to invest, like Nippon Steel. Okay, so Nippon, Japan, U.S. Steel American. Biden stopped the takeover, citing national security. It was the only right thing that he did. Trump gets in and knows you don't want to chase business away, but you can't have an American business bought out from an outside influence, especially when it is your largest steel producer. So what does he do? He gets Nippon to be like a shareholder. They're going to invest into it and take profits from it. And in doing so, be able to strengthen both companies in America. Now, Canada is like, oh, don't worry, we can shut them down. We can shut them down, the steel, especially the aluminum. We'll just get a tariff and we'll just shut it down. We'll watch them. They won't be able to make any of those cars. Really? This is a report made. And this report is fascinating. None of the media is talking about it. It tells you the whole root of the problem and the solution. The root of the problem and the solution is energy and the environment. If you look at why the steel industry started to slowly fall, It's because the cost of energy and the lack thereof of it became inefficient for the corporations to do it. Then China comes along and starts flooding the market with cheap steel. Canada's helping them. So when Trump first gets in, what does he do? Tariffs us. Stop flooding America with cheap steel. It's not only bad on America, but you guys are idiots for doing it because it's bad for your workers. And he was right. All you need to do is increase or decrease the price of energy and be able to give it to them in the quantities they need. And they will be making steel and aluminum like crazy. And the second big problem that was put on him, Trump already tossed. It was his, again, first day in. Paris Accord. Paris Accord. Gone. The whole Green New Deal. Gone. So goodbye to all of the environmental holdbacks. They're done. He just released the tiger. Now, it's only going to take him a year and a half. I was trying to crunch some numbers. He might even be able to beat that. He's got major investors going in. They're on like a hiring spree. They're already firing these things up. So goodbye to our tariffs. What good is that? Oh, we'll just stop, or we'll just get a tariff from heavy. Trump is planning. Our leader is playing kindergarten teacher, and south of the border, they're prepping for economic warfare. So let's move on to the Panama Canal. Again, media. Wow, you're going to take it over, military force. China doesn't own it. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, blah, 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 blah. Really?
The Panama Canal keeps receiving bad news.
A historic drought at one of the world's largest trading routes.
The wait time to get through, now up to 3 weeks.
It is undersized, too expensive, and wait times are getting frankly ridiculous.
And we see ship after ship just waiting.
Last year, Mexico finished construction of an interoceanic railway that's marketed as a faster and cheaper alternative. Plans for building similar railways through Honduras and Colombia are now gaining momentum, and there have even been talks of a rival canal for Nicaragua. The United States
and Mexico. Nicaragua, actually, I don't think theirs is going to go through. Some protesters ended up kind of shutting it down, the environmental end of it, which is a good thing, because there's a huge lake that they were going to go through. They were going to cut all the way to the lake, use the lake to save them, having to dig, and then finish cutting the rest of the way. They ended up like throwing some of the protesters, the environmental protesters, in jail for 200 years. It's pretty ridiculous what they did. But it ended up getting shut down, and it looks like it might, like, it. I don't think it's going to go through. I think it's not going to happen, especially now that Trump's in power. Because this is all part of the China initiative, and Trump's shutting that whole initiative down.
States is by far the canal's biggest user, and they count on this waterway to connect to their Pacific fleet, making it even more worrisome that China is establishing a strategic presence. They already own 2 out of the 5 main ports.
Oh, media said they don't own them. They just run them. No, they own them.
And they are working on a third. Near all these alternative routes, they're buying port facilities and supporting industries. And in some cases, they're even building the railroads themselves.
And right here is where Mexico's working on theirs. They're going to create their own Panama Canal as well. And China was involved in all of that.
Can these routes actually rival the Panama Canal?
Well, yeah, they can. That's the point. That's what Trump was saying. He was speaking it, but the media wasn't letting you listen. They were gaslighting you. They were gaslighting you. So, Panama. Oh, there's nothing Trump can do, blah, blah, blah. Oh, all these excuses. Really?
So Trump sent his foreign minister to Panama. At Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Rubio met with the president of Panama, Jose Raul Mulino, and he presented Washington's demands. All this took place on Sunday. Rubio was in Panama till yesterday. He visited the canal to take stock of the situation. He also saw a deportation flight take off. The flight was carrying undocumented immigrants to Colombia. Remember, Panama is a key U.S. partner in the fight against illegal immigration, and Marco Rubio acknowledged this. His tone seemed to have softened after his meeting with President Mulino. And we found out why just after Rubio left Panama. President Mulino made a few announcements about Panama's ties with China. He's auditing the Hong Kong company in charge of the two ports on either side of the canal. Panama's government even put out this video showing auditors entering the port offices. If they find something, Panama will have a reason to scrap the port deal. But if China doesn't have any corrupt dealings, it has nothing to worry about. I wonder how that will go. That was Panama's first concession to Trump. The second was about transit fees. US warships can now cross the canal for free. This is something that Trump really wanted. He kept complaining about high transit costs, so Panama has given in. This is the second concession. But it's the third concession that has raised eyebrows. Panama will not renew its membership in the BRI, that's China's Belt and Road Initiative, BRI. It is Chinese President Xi Jinping's pet project.
His pet project that is all over the world. Trump's aware of it. Hell, I'm aware of it. There's a lot of people that are aware of it. But the media doesn't want you to know. They want you isolated. Where's the ball? Where's the ball? Go get the ball. They don't want to tell you the truth. So now you've got Panama. Again, where's the media? Where's the media? And now, what's the last thing left that Trump needs to do in order to guarantee that we have absolutely no fight left in us? What's the last thing he's got to do? He's got to decimate the only thing that keeps Canada alive. And that is our oil and gas. Here is the president of Venezuela.
En su primer gobierno,
In the first administration, re-elected
presidente
President
reelecto Donald Trump, no nos fue bien.
We did not do well.
Este es un nuevo
It is
comienzo
a new beginning for us to bet on winning.
para que apostemos a ganar y le vaya bien a
And for the
Estados
United
Unidos, le vaya
States
bien a
and
Venezuela
Venezuela
y
to
siempre
do so.
abogamos para que le vaya bien a América Latina y
We
el
always
Caribe.
advocated for Latin America.
Por mucho que hayamos
As much as
tenido
there has been
tensiones o
tensions and
tirantes en
relations,
las relaciones, cuando intentaron
when they tried to attempt
atentar
against
contra su
Trump's
vida en
life
dos
twice,
oportunidades, no dudé ni un
I do not
segundo
hesitate for a second to
en
express my
solidarizarme
solidarity
y desearle
and
buena
wish him
salud
good health
y
and a
larga vida.
long life. Now you're saying, that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean anything. Well, it does. It does mean something. So, this is the pipelines. And this is all of our oil. And this is where it goes down to. Refineries over here that all get, there's a little wee bit in Sarnia that gets done in Canada, but for the most part, it's all shipped down and all refined in America. Some of it makes its way over, but not much, to the East Coast. The majority of it goes all the way down here. Okay. You got that? Nice and clear? Right. So, where's Venezuela? Interesting. Interesting. And there's Houston. You're thinking to yourself, well, that's a long ways. That's a long ways. Is it? Is it a long ways? Look at the distance from here to there. What's this called again? Gulf of America. Trump has got the Panama Canal secured. He's got all of these countries shutting down the China initiative. He's also got Colombia straightened out. They're right here. Alberta is way up here. Now you're saying, that's crazy. There's no way. All Trump needs to do is give his companies enough time to start transitioning and changing the factories to start to process different oils. The oils that they're going to be shipping in or pipelining from Alaska. They're already fracking and going crazy all over, and he's opened up all of the waters all the way around. All the memorandums or whatever are gone. All the protected areas, they're gone. They're all open. He's only leaving certain areas where he knows that there's unique fish species or where there's like migratory paths. He's agreed on that part. But enough of the extremism. And you're going, wow, come on. There's no way. There's no way. Like, how would Trump ever secure that? That's impossible. Now, is it really impossible? Well, I'm going to read this to you. Mauricio Claver Carón, Trump's special envoy to Latin America, confirmed Grenell's visit to Caracas in a Friday conference call with journalists. He said Grenell, who served as U.S. ambassador to Germany and acting director of national intelligence during the first Trump administration, was going to Venezuela on a very specific mission that in no way detracts from the Trump administration's goal of restoring democracy in the South American nation. One reason for Grenell's visit is the need for Venezuela to receive U.S. deportation flights filled with Venezuelan criminals. And the second is that Maduro should immediately release North American citizens being held in Venezuelan jails, Claver Carón said. So, he's releasing prisoners. The moment that hit the press, Maduro started releasing prisoners. What is the very specific mission? What do you think it is? He has no worries about the Gulf of America anymore. That's his backstop. That's our heart and head right there. If he has the ability to not even worrying about tariffing the oil, but just saying, shut it off. We don't want it. We're doomed. This is what the media should be telling you. And all of this is because Trudeau never met his 2%. And the media likes to say, oh, but he did better than conservatives. That's a lie. I'm going to do an episode on it. That's a blatant lie. That is media gaslighting and lying. He's decimated our military. Why? Why? Because they're asking for too much than we can give. Bullcrap. He had other things he wanted to spend his money on. WF, Davos, and the agenda. Trump has built a huge backstop. He's taking business from us and securing any future trade or business we have. Yes, you should be worried. We're in scary times. We have like the worst government possible. This is going on and nobody's saying anything. The media is just absolutely silent on it. They want us to hate instead of take two steps back and realize, hey, wait a minute, I'm Canadian here. Hold on. Let's think this through. Work smart, not hard. And if you have to, you work hard too. But you work smart. And we're not working smart. We're being, to be honest, we're being idiots. And more booing at hockey games. It's so embarrassing. Canada, you got to wake up. We're being outsmarted. Get off the checkerboard and start learning how to play chess. We have everything needed to be literally the wealthiest country on the planet, and we have squandered it for decades to protect the Laurentian elite and the socialist. We've had a socialist problem for a long time. This has got to end. And I'm sorry to be negative on the ending. I kind of rather smile and sign off. I'm sorry to have to give you that bad news, but at least now you know what's going on. This is serious. Thank you for watching. I hope I gave you a pile of knowledge and helped you deviate around all of the mainstream lies and gaslighting. This is the reality of it. I'm Alias Tagay. You're watching the Canadian Citizen Journal. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share, and please hit that notification button so that you know when my next video is coming out.